You're listening to the Call Kent podcast, where Kent C. Dodds answers questions and gives insights to software engineers like you. Now, let's hear the call.
Hello, Kent. My name is Irakli. I'm reaching out to gain insights on optimizing website hosting for improved SEO performance, ensuring efficient search engine crawling. Could you elaborate on how to effectively host a website to minimize performance lags? Specifically, I'm interested in leveraging Remix for this purpose. What best practices does Remix offer for SEO optimization and hosting to ensure a website is both fast and search engine friendly? I'm looking to implement these strategies moving forward. Thank you for your guidance.
And that was the call. Here's what Kent had to say.
Hey, Irakli, thank you for the question. So the most important thing that you need to understand is that the framework that you use for creating websites on as far as SEO is concerned, there are a couple table stakes things that you need to consider. First off, that it performs well. So the Lighthouse scores are going to matter a bit more, especially when you're concerned about SEO. Because the search engines are going to de-rank you if your performance isn't good. And then also that you just have the ability to server render the important aspects of the metadata for your HTML page. So meta tags in particular, but also like the semantic content of your page as well. So that means server rendering. So you're right to consider Remix because it checks both of those boxes. You're going to server render, and you're going to you have all the ability to provide meta tags and stuff that are data driven and that sort of thing. And then also it is very fast, and so that is like the table stakes are there with Remix for sure. So as far as tips for optimizing that, I do have in Epic Web Dev the full stack of Volume 1 series of workshops. There's an exercise about SEO, and I will link you to that exercise that you can go through yourself, or you can pay to watch the videos and everything too. But you should be able to learn a lot just by going looking at it yourself. And that will give you some ideas of the APIs that Remix offers as far as meta tags are concerned. That is like a pretty important aspect to this, and being data driven as well. And then as far as hosting, since you asked about that specifically, most of your options are going to probably be fine. There aren't really any hosts, I would say, that are faster or slower necessarily. It more comes down to your choice in some infrastructure or architectural decisions, like is your data next to your server, and if is your server accessible to your end users, because the search engines are not only going to take your page speed into account, like your Lighthouse score, they're also going to consider the real world user metrics as well. And at least Google is, because Google Chrome is so pervasive, they can make those sorts of recordings and then keep track of whether the real world user experience of using your website is fast. And so that's why it's important for your site to be fast wherever your users are. If they're if your users are all local in a small community, then yeah, probably the best bet is to put a server somewhere in that local community so that it's as close to them as possible. But if you're serving a worldwide audience, then it's a lot more important that your servers handle that, the worldwide audience. And so you want to have your servers be distributed, but keep in mind that if you distribute your servers but not your data, then you could have some performance problems accessing data. And so having distributed data is also important. And that's why on my personal website, I made it a goal of mine to have distributed servers and distributed data. And that was why I originally went with fly.io, because they had a Postgres cluster that could be distributed all over the world. And so I could put my servers in a bunch of regions all over the world, and my databases would all be right there, and they would replicate the data automatically for me. I later moved to LightFS on Fly.io. So I'm still on Fly, but I'm using SQLite now, and I still get the data replication and the distributed nature of my data and my servers. And so my app is fast all over the world. And so you're going to want to do something similar. I would suggest that the Epic Stack is a really great starter point for that, because it has all of that stuff already set up. But another alternative you could consider is using Cloudflare and the stuff that they've got with durable objects and things. PartyKit is a really exciting technology to build on top of with Cloudflare. And Remix is very finely tuned to work with Cloudflare, especially since Remix is a product of Shopify, and Shopify also has their framework called Hydrogen, which runs on their infrastructure called Oxygen, which runs on top of Cloudflare. And so I think that Cloudflare is also a really good option as well. There are trade-offs that you make, of course, with serverless environments and stuff like that. But I think if you can satisfy all of the requirements that you have within the world that Cloudflare has created, then you're in a really good position there. And honestly, I can't think of any way to make an app faster than to run it on Cloudflare using the stuff that they've got. It's just bonkers. And that does affect your SEO or your like how much that affects SEO, I'm not certain. I'm pretty sure that as long as you can give the user a response within like 500 milliseconds, then you're probably in a pretty good spot and you don't need to worry too much about it. And on my personal website, I get responses in like 200 milliseconds, no matter where I am in the world. Of course, like all that depends on your user's network speed and everything too, which is one of the cool things about Cloudflare is because they have so many regions all over, like hundreds of regions all over the world, even if the user has a poor network speed, they probably are, it's still going to be relatively fast. And so it really kind of depends on what you're looking for. But first, I'll just validate your decision to use Remix. It is very, very well suited for this. And Fly.io is a really good solution. But depending on your use case, Cloudflare is also a really good option as well. Hope that is helpful. Have a nice day.
This has been the Call Kent podcast. Learn more about Kent at kentcdodds.com and get your own questions answered at kentcdodds.com/calls.